What do you want people to know?
I want people to know the real me.
So there are those who say you weren't qualified for this case. How do you respond?
I respond by saying, let's give it some color. I defended murders, rapes, armed robbers, molesters, mostly criminal cases that dealt with high stakes, including life. The picture that was being painted, that there was no experience, is just not an accurate one.
You and Fani meet in 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the extent of your relationship prior to November 1st of 2021?
We met at a judges' conference. We stayed professional friends for quite a bit of time thereafter. Started to pick up a little bit when COVID started. We began to spend inordinate amounts of time communicating. During the course of the investigation, nights, weekends, evenings, mornings, I can't tell you how much time that we spent together. We got closer and closer and closer. Workplace romances are as American as apple pie. It happens to everyone, but it happened to the two of us.
Do you regret it?
I regret that private matter became the focal point of this very important prosecution. I hate that my personal life has begun to overshadow the true issues in the case.
But at some point, once that bond is there, and if democracy is on the line, as has been described, do you say, maybe we pause this until after the case is over?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll concede that could have been an approach, but when you are in the middle of it, these feelings are developing, and you get to a point to where the feelings are so strong that you start to want to do things that really are none of the public's concern. It wasn't lost upon the two of us that things could bleed over into the case and start to affect it. And so we made the adult-like decision to do what we did.
Do what we did? What do you mean by that?
In terms of protecting the integrity of the case, keeping the rest of the office out of our personal and private lives, and at the point that we decided to discontinue the relationship, we did.
But it's my understanding that the relationship ended not because you were worried about it bleeding over, but you all just had differences of the value of a male and female in a relationship, that kind of thing, that you ultimately started having some heated conversations. But correct me if I'm wrong, was there a point that you all stopped because you said, this is inappropriate, this could impact the integrity of the case?
Okay, that's a lot there. So we didn't have heated conversations to the extent that we were at odds and arguing about the inherent roles of...
Well, I mean, so just give me a sense of the timeline as far as when the romance actually started and then once it stopped.
So early 2022 to late 2023 is the time frame. What people don't see and don't know is that we continue to have a very close relationship. We are friends.
A Washington Post columnist wrote, "What were they thinking? How could two seasoned attorneys embroiled in the prosecution of a former president start a romance and not see this trouble coming a mile away?" And so what were you thinking in that moment?
You don't plan to develop feelings. You don't plan to fall in love. You don't plan to have some relationship in the workplace. You don't set out to do that, and those things develop organically. They develop over time. And the minute we had that sobering moment, we discontinued it.
January 8th a motion is brought that reveals that there's been this relationship. At that time, the relationship was over, correct? The romantic aspect of the
Yes, ma'am.
relationship. What was going through your mind on that day when it suddenly becomes, I know you've said before it wasn't a secret, but now it does become public?
Where is the relevance here? How does this in any way affect the prosecution of those charged in the election interference case?
So for 25 days, we didn't hear from you or District Attorney Willis. Why not come forward? At that point, you're a public servant, right? Getting paid from the state of Georgia. Why not say, okay, we'll make a statement, we'll get on top of this, we'll get ahead of this?
Let me say this. My conversation here with you today is just that. It's Nathan's conversation. I do not speak for the district attorney's office. I do not speak for their position. As a matter of fact, I'm certain that they would rather me not be having this exchange with you.
So you said you didn't want to violate the public's trust. I'm curious, do you think that you've done any kind of damage to this case?
None at all. None at all.
Even the public perception of it?
My private life became the focal point of the case. And my private life has nothing to do with the merits of that prosecution.
Donald Trump now is trying to get the judge's decision overruled. We'll find out in a week or so if Fani Willis gets to stay on the case. Do you feel, as we sit here today, that this case is in jeopardy? Because
that issue is before the Court of Appeals currently, my goal is to protect the integrity of the process. I don't want to say anything that's going to jeopardize that, but you know, Nathan Wade does not feel that the case is in any way in jeopardy. So you didn't realize when you took the case your life was really going to be under a microscope? I did not realize that my life would be in danger. The microscope, I don't have a problem with. You're just like the rest of us on the outside looking in. I'm curious if you think that Donald Trump will be convicted. I believe and stand behind every bit of the work that was done while I was the special prosecutor on the case. And I believe that, you know, there's going to be that day of reckoning where a Fulton County jury there in Fulton County, Georgia, would have to make that decision. What do you think is the greatest misconception about you? Issue surrounding my divorce. It's a difficult thing to watch and to hear. Watch and listen to your life play out before the American public inaccurately. Ultimately, as we sit here today, do you feel you've done anything wrong? Oh, wow. I don't feel as though I've done anything wrong. I feel like I have been, I guess, in my silence, I've been treated a bit unfairly, a bit harshly. What's next for you? Wow, the sky's the limit. I love the dynamics of the courtroom, but I'm also a people person. I enjoy people. And right now, I think it is just incumbent upon me to unplug, get away from all of it until I can clear my mind and make some rational decisions about next steps. Our thanks to Nathan Wade for the conversation. Some defendants in the case have taken pleas. Others, including Donald Trump, have entered pleas of not guilty.